COVID-19 vaccines for kids under 12 has arrived and are ready to be distributed.
We're going to be shipping them immediately to public health units and to primary care and then to pharmacies.
Parents will be able to book a vaccination appointment for their child starting tomorrow, with shots going into arms by the end of the week. Plus,
we saw this coyote a lot of time, not only recently, many times.
A coyote that's believed to have attacked and bitten at least 3 people in a North York park is shot and killed by Toronto police. And
it's very rare to have a property like this that can house a family.
Raising the Roof is putting the finishing touches on its latest project, the nonprofit organization transforming a vacant home into affordable housing for a family of newcomers on this National Housing Day. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. We begin with details on the province's rollout plan for vaccinating children aged 5 to 11. Now, Ontario is set to receive 1 million doses. The first shipment arrived last night, and starting tomorrow, parents can begin booking a vaccine appointment for their child. To make that process easier, a group that helped hundreds of thousands of people secure their shot earlier this year is making a return. Ali Chiasson has more.
1, 2, 3.
There will be many different ways you can sign your kid up for a vaccine, through the provincial COVID-19 vaccination portal as usual, but also each local public health unit will have their own booking system you can use, and by calling participating pharmacies. The vaccine will also be available through select primary care providers. 5 to 11-year-old children account for about 1/3 of Ontario's new COVID-19 cases. Health Minister Christine Elliott says that should change after this week.
We're going to be shipping them immediately to public health units and to primary care and then to pharmacies. And we should be able to start getting shots into little arms by about Thursday this week. So it's very good news.
Cue the campaigns.
We need you. There are many battles left to fight.
Just like Brampton Batman there, you can be a Team Toronto kid if you get one here in the city. While on the topic of vaccine superheroes, guess who else is joining the effort?
We'll be here to help.
Appointment finding service Vaccine Hunters is making a comeback.
I've seen some parents on Twitter saying they've called their family doctor to ask about booking an appointment for their kid, but the doctor couldn't guarantee that they would be getting any doses, like it would be too early to know. So what would you say to parents who are looking to book an appointment for their kids sooner than later?
The best resource would be the respective provincial websites, since they're in charge of the actual distribution. So the provincial websites as well as public health units.
Now all you have to do is convince your kids.
I'm scared to get my vaccine because I'm scared of needles.
It's okay.
Sick Kids actually has some advice on that.
Teaching them some techniques about how to keep themselves calm, how to cope with the needle, but also addressing the fears that kids have.
So reading up on how the vaccine works, why they're getting it, but also when the day comes.
Empowering them and giving them some choices about what would you like to do that day to make it fun, and how would you like to cope? Would you like to bring a distraction? Would you like to use a topical anesthetic cream? You know, how can we make you the bravest?
A reward never hurts.
Probably give her a candy. Pretty easy, yeah.
Kids' appointments open at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
330 TDSB staff have been placed on leave without pay for not being vaccinated. But the school board says some staff are getting a temporary exemption from the vaccine deadline.
What we have said is that we will temporarily exempt these staff members from the vaccine procedure so that we can continue these important services to our students and schools.
The exemption is being granted to nearly 300 employees. The TDSB says these workers are in what they call critical roles, such as special needs assistants, lunchroom supervisors, and early childhood educators. The board says the exemptions will only be extended until they can fill the positions. Staff given the exemption will still have to be tested 3 times a week. The vast majority of the board's 41,000 employees are immunized. Police shot and killed a coyote on the grounds of a North York school today. The animal is believed to have bitten at least 3 people in a park near Bayview and the 401. Our Dale Manukduk has more on why the coyote had to be put down and why it may have been acting so aggressively.
Philip Gochkovich was warned by his mother to take a different route to school.
I'm not trying to go to the park anymore due to what happened from yesterday.
2 people were bit by a coyote at Bayview Village Park. Toronto police say a third was bitten today. Around 10:45 this morning, emergency task force officers climbed onto the roof of a portable and shot the coyote. It stumbled towards the fence before collapsing.
After consulting with Wild Rescue and Animal Services, that euthanizing the coyote was the best option.
Police say that's because tranquilizer takes time to take effect, leaving potential for the coyote to escape. The shooting happened on school grounds. Students and staff sheltered in place. Parents were notified via email about the situation. Police believe it was the same coyote they were called about based on description. Residents say they'd seen it for a while and it wasn't a problem.
We saw this coyote a lot of time, not only recently, many times.
But the attacks have some residents on high alert.
I actually walk now with a whistle just to be sure, because you never know. There's been a lot of sightings of coyotes in the city.
Just 2 weeks ago, a coyote was heard howling in the night in the Junction. Residents there say someone was feeding it. Leslie Sampson at Coyote Watch Canada says aggressive behavior is often linked to human feeding, causing it to be demanding.
And then what happens is a coyote can become food and human conditioned. And so nipping at the back of the leg or grabbing at a bag.
Sampson says it's not typical for coyotes to have unprovoked incidents of aggression. Toronto police aren't aware of any other ongoing coyote problems in the city. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
Peel police have arrested a man and are searching for another after a months-long investigation into dozens of commercial and ATM break-and-enters across the GTA. Police released this surveillance video of one of the incidents tonight. Officers conducted 2 search warrants in Brampton on Friday, where they seized a variety of power tools, cash, and clothing as evidence. 36-year-old Keith Brooks of Brampton was arrested and charged with 27 counts of break and enter, as well as 27 counts of wearing a disguise with intent to commit a criminal offense. The second suspect, 36-year-old Sean Moore of Brampton, is still outstanding. Police have issued a warrant for his arrest. He's wanted for the same 27 break and enters. Anyone with information is asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers. Today is National Housing Day, and the nonprofit Raising the Roof is putting the finishing touches on its latest Reside project. The organization strives to prevent and alleviate homelessness. Their latest project is a vacant East End home that is being transformed into affordable housing for a family of newcomers, while providing training in the trades to people facing employment barriers. Take a look.
Beautiful place to live, and it's been empty for 7 years. Through a program with Toronto Community Housing, they wanted to partner with nonprofits in the city, so that's how Raising the Roof got involved with this home. We've completely gutted the house, turned it into a passive home, fully green retrofit. The home will be run on a long-term basis by an organization called HOT. We found a family of 6 that is newcomers to the country that are going to be living here. There's a lot of affordable housing being built, not nearly enough. But it's very rare to have a property like this that can house a family. Work was done by Building Up, which is a nonprofit that trains and employs people with barriers to employment to get jobs in the trades. We were kind of ending homelessness in 2 ways, by both creating housing, number 1, and then also by kind of giving people an opportunity to get these jobs in the construction industry.
Oh, you need an extension cord for the skill set? Do you need a skill set? I'm helping them to, figure out what they want to do and talk about my experience. If you haven't done like building decks, you get the chance to learn. It's all about gaining that experience to move on to the next level. Where the kitchen is, I did most of the flooring because that is my trade. Practicing my skills, my flooring skills, but also everything else I love to do, drywall, painting, framing, installing.
Safety first?
Safety first. My first major project with Raising the Roof was in Caledon. I did most of the painting there. And then I found out who the house was for, and I started to cry because it's like, it's great to give back.
Melissa's an incredible person who's not only taken full advantage of the program, but has also supported a lot of people that have come through the program to make the most of their potential.
Yeah, that's a wrap. I love being part of something that will last forever.
Meteorologist Colette Kennedy joins us now with a first look at the forecast. And Colette, a cold and cloudy day. It's not so bad in the city, but some regions getting quite a bit of snow.
Yeah, with the snow squalls in the snow belt, it's a whole different story. Highly localized, but there it is. And yeah, I'm going to start off with just showing you some numbers, keeping in mind numbers can be deceiving. I mean, it needs a little bit of explanation here, because if you look at these daytime highs and you think it didn't feel that well, I mean, 6 is seasonal generally for Toronto and Oshawa. Well, for example, Oshawa, that was just around midnight last night. So in many cases, we saw that temperature falling off. And then in the afternoon, it was, you know, kind of a struggle to get above freezing there. So that's a look at your daytime highs and why they sometimes look a little bit different than perhaps what we really experienced. And in terms of those snow squalls, so the band set up and we had more of a westerly flow that's been shifting more northwesterly. So that just turns those bands a little bit in the areas that get the whiteout conditions. And in terms of accumulations, I'm going to talk more about that when I come back, but those winds will be easing for tomorrow. So we get into some better and quieter conditions with less active weather. In the meantime, I'll leave you with this, that the low tonight is -4, feeling like -9. Watch out tomorrow morning and be prepared for that. And 3 degrees the high tomorrow, Kelda.
Thanks so much, Colette. An update now to a months-long optometrist dispute with the provincial government. Eye exams will resume for children and seniors starting tomorrow as job action is paused. Optometrists withdrew provincially insured eye services at the beginning of September due to a funding dispute with the province. The Ontario Association of Optometrists has resumed formal negotiations with the government. Eye doctors say the province has been underfunding eye care for almost 3 decades. Health Minister Christine Elliott offered a one-time $39 million payment to optometrists, but the association says it's not enough. The Ontario government is breaking its own environmental law when making certain decisions. That's according to a new set of audits from the province's Auditor General. Lisa Shing has the details.
One would not expect to see the amount of weaknesses we see in a Ministry of Environment.
That's the main message coming out of the AG's latest report that Ontario broke its own law, the Environmental Bill of Rights, which states the public has the right to information and consultation on decisions that affect the environment. The report says there's a lack of leadership from the ministry on this. In fact, several ministries are deliberately avoiding those consultations.
I think we see a need for change here, at least in being more transparent.
One of the most glaring examples the report gives is the government increasing the power of the Minister of Municipal Affairs to issue special zoning orders to fast-track the approval of development projects. The Ford government uses them frequently, and they can't be appealed.
That's one of the best tools if someone wants to build a company, expand a company, and they want to put an addition on. Where are you going to invest? Are you going to invest in a place that takes 6 years to get a permit to put an addition on your facility? Or are you going to invest in a place that takes 6 months?
The report says these projects are green-lighted even though they may harm endangered species. In fact, it also found the ministry's Species at Risk Advisory Committee is dominated by industry representatives. 6 were appointed between 2019 and 2020 without going through the standard approval process.
That's completely incorrect. The ministry goes through robust oversight for species at risk.
But the audits found the number of approvals for projects that harm at-risk species has risen by 6,000% since 2009, and the number of at-risk species has increased by 22%. Between 2011 and 2020, 73,000 hazardous spills were reported in Ontario, but the province only tried to recover cleanup costs 3 times.
I don't think we're going to affect meaningful climate change by driving industry out of this province, rather engaging them.
It's basically handing the province over to big polluters and big developers to make as much money as they like and leaving the public with all the costs and the consequences.
On pollution, the Auditor General found the government hasn't done enough to divert industrial waste from landfills, since those companies are not required to recycle, which means we could run out of landfill space in the next 11 to 14 years. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
CBC News has learned that 30 provincial inspectors who check that skilled tradespeople are qualified are getting laid off. Now, it follows a decision by the Ford government to replace the Ontario College of Trades with a new provincial agency. Although most of the existing staff will move to the new agency, the 30 inspectors will not. We asked the Premier about the layoffs this morning.
Those same inspectors can be rehired. They can apply for, I think it's 70 or 90 positions that we're hiring new inspectors. The College of Trades was a disaster, in my opinion.
Those positions Ford mentioned have already been filled. The Ministry of Labour is taking over the inspection role of the College of Trades, but did not hire the people currently doing that work. Welcome back. CBC News has learned the Toronto Parking Authority tried to sell a prime piece of public land in Midtown to a developer. However, the Parking Authority didn't have the authority to sell the land, which was earmarked for park space. And City Hall has quietly spent the last 4 years trying to get it back. Chris Ensing reports.
Just beyond these walls of condos near Yonge and Eglinton, a parking lot owned by the city sits in the shadows. Area residents like Sherry Lash had been promised years ago the lot would be transformed into a much-needed park.
We're really getting squeezed out. There's not a lot of green space.
The area is being flooded with wall-to-wall condos, up to 70 stories. Getting parks is extremely excruciating in the Yonge and Eglinton area where we have a canyon of condos.
The city saw paradise in this paved parking lot, but a developer had bigger dreams, luxury condos. They found a willing partner in 2016 in the Toronto Parking Authority who quietly agreed to sell the land. The Madison Group was already planning condos nearby and bought the parking lot. It's not known for how much, but the local councillor says the TPA didn't have the required go-ahead from City Hall to sell it in the first place.
How is this possible that this parking lot, which is supposed to be a park, is all of a sudden now part of a condo? Very disturbing that this was going to end up being part of a development when they had no right to do it.
For the past 4 years, lawyers for both sides battled over the property, ending in a confidential settlement approved last week at City Hall. The city and parking authority say they can't comment on it, but CBC News has learned it involves land swap on the site. Condos will go up beside the parkland, not on it. To know that for a while this was just going to be another condo.
The fact that it's taken a couple of years before we can confirm that it will be a park is frustrating, but it's a relief.
Cole's confident this won't happen again, saying the TPA's board has since been shuffled out after another controversial land deal in North York that could have cost taxpayers about $2 million more than the land was worth, according to the city auditor. Chris Ensing, CBC News, Toronto.
The TTC Riders Association is urging Torontonians to call the mayor and demand service cuts related to COVID-19 vaccine mandates be stopped.
I think it's a failure of leadership that these cuts are happening. The TTC has known about the possibility of staff shortages for months, but they haven't acted to hire more operators sooner because they're facing a funding crisis.
Subway service along Line 2 Bloor-Danforth is being reduced during all periods from Monday to Friday. 57 bus routes and 1 streetcar route are also being impacted. The TTC Riders Group wants Mayor Tory to extend emergency funds to the TTC to hire more operators. It also wants the deadline for workers to get the COVID shot to be extended to allow more drivers to become fully vaccinated. 92% of TTC staff have disclosed their vaccination status. Let's go back to Colette now with a look at your extended forecast. And Colette, the winds will be easing with improving conditions tomorrow.
Yeah, we will, because with those winds backing off, we'll see the lake effect snow machines kind of shutting down for a little while, but also it knocks that wind down so that we don't have the wind chill and the coolness to the air. So even though our temperatures are going to be pretty chilly, it won't feel worse than that. So we had talked about there being areas with the potential for 20 to 30 centimeters. It's highly localized. I think we'll see those numbers coming out closer to 10 to 15, but still some areas could pick up a little bit more through the snow belt. The watches in in there as well, and then winter weather travel advisory. So really just nasty conditions until these winds really drop off fully. We've seen more of a westerly wind that's going to be pushing more west-northwest, and as it does, it kind of rotates where we see those bands of snow. And yes, at times, some of the wet flurries making their way down into the city, but certainly possible to get a dusting there into northern portions of the GTA. So this is 7 a.m. tomorrow. Elsewhere, notice where you're not impacted by those relatively warmer waters having an effect with the cold air moving over top. You have sunshine, and so primarily there'll be lots of areas in eastern and southwestern Ontario with sun, but we pick up more of a variable sky here coming down towards the Golden Horseshoe. Then as we're heading Tuesday night into Wednesday, again, kind of variable at times until we get to the afternoon hours, and then this cloud cover you're seeing that's going to be overtaking things, that's ahead of a system that comes in Wednesday night into Thursday. Temperatures will come up a bit, so we'll be seeing that more in the form of some rain showers and not the wet snowfall. A look at your temperatures tonight: Windsor, Leamington, Chatham-Kent, Sarnia, -6. Tomorrow morning it will feel like -10, so you need to be dressed and have the kids dressed appropriately for those kind of numbers. And then in the afternoon, it'll be nice to have that sunshine and lighter winds, but it's still well below seasonal there, and a real range in terms of our temperatures tonight. Some of those lows quite chilly into Markham with -8. Highs tomorrow, yay, 1 to 3 degrees. That we should be around 6, but don't worry. Wednesday, Thursday, we get there. That's why it's rainfall Thursday. But I will forewarn you, the end of the weekend to the next weekend, some of the coldest air we've seen so far coming our way, Gelda.
Okay, we've been warned. Thanks so much, Colette. Finally tonight, a group of FIFA delegates are in Toronto as the city hopes to woo the organization to hold 2026 World Cup games in our stadiums.
Today we received a very, very comprehensive presentation, and I think it showed a deep understanding not only what, the magic of the World Cup, what it can bring in terms of football and legacy, but also the economic impact of having the World Cup come to your city.
22 other North American cities are in contention to hold World Cup games. Edmonton is the only other Canadian city on the list. Canada will jointly host the 2026 World Cup in a bid with the U.S. and Mexico. In total, 16 North American cities will be awarded games. Toronto has hosted FIFA tournaments in the past, including the 2014 Under-20 Women's World Cup. All right, fingers crossed. That's our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night.